Going into a burning building is something like you'll never experience. The heat, the flames, the darkness. Some of us enjoy it. You know, it is scary because you're going into a building you're unfamiliar with. You have no idea of layout and you're trying to find your way through. Even with your protective clothing on, you can feel the heat, but it's challenging, you know, because you have to get in there to that fire and put that fire out. And you come back out and the fire doesn't. So you have the feeling of victory at the same time. But most people won't ever get to experience that.
It ain't fun. You put all your gear on and you go and hope and pray that nothing collapses on you and you find what you're looking for in a hurry so you can get out.
See, you got to respect that fire. I've had a few occasions with them and all. I've had a couple buildings fall on me. Before I ever became fire chief, right down here at the end of this road, they had a building down there that caught on fire one night that the roof caved in. I went down there to this fire, and like I said, the old Walker Fire Department would just go way down the ashes. The building was already burnt before we got down there. But they had a roof across, it was a little convenience store type building, you know. And they had like a lean-to roof all across the front of that building. Well, this hadn't burnt yet. And I was under that roof, putting water on the coals inside that building, when all of the brick and all started crumbling on the side of me and all. And I realized that roof was falling. I got to get out from under it. And I turned around and run to get out from under that building, a roof, you know. And this roof, no telling how much it would weigh, several thousand pounds, and I know if it falls on me, what's going to be left of me, you know. So I turned and tried to get out from under it, and when I turned around, I got feet tangled up in the fire hose trying to run, and it tripped me. When I fell on the ground trying to roll out from under it then, I looked up and that roof wasn't but just like 4 or 5 feet above me.
You had to be careful when you went into a building because you never know what you was going to run across or what was going to happen. I've fallen through floors in trailers because after they get wet and half burned, you know. We've had parts of buildings fall down, but we were lucky.
It's hot. It's hot. You learn. You trust your training. You trust your equipment, and you trust your fellow firefighter. You go in, and if there's possible life at stake, you go in and do the best you can to make sure there's no one in there or that don't happen. And then your second avenue is protect property. Try to put the fire out and save as much of their property as you can.
As a firefighter, it's both exhilarating and terrifying. I'm sure you've watched TV shows and talked to people before. They talk about that fire literally has a life of its own. Well, it's almost like a living being. And to know that when you go into this home, that things could really turn sour. Your visibility is very limited. You've got a limited amount of air because you're carrying everything that you have to breathe on your back. You're dealing with temperatures into the thousands of degrees. You're pulling a heavy piece of hose behind you to help control the fire. You've got all this heavy equipment on. It's a challenge. It's something we'd rather not have to do, but if you trust in your equipment and you trust in your training and you have learned how to control the situation properly, it's very exhilarating. It really is.
Walking in the smoke is tough. If you can see flames and they're pulling the smoke out, then it's not too bad. You can see, I'm gonna put the hose right there and do some good. I'm gonna put the hose over there in a moment and do some good. But in the smoke, where do you put the hose? Finally, you just shotgun the hose.
It's when you get to think about it, you really don't want to think about it because, like I said earlier, everybody's running out of a building when you're running in. A lot of adrenaline. You focus on all your training, everything that you've had from day one, and you try to get in there and do what you can to find a fire, put it out, and get out of the building. It's very stressful, high amounts of heat, debris and stuff falling off of walls and stuff. So you try to go in, make the quickest attack you can, and get out.
I had a lot of the police officers that I worked with says, There's no way that you could pay me to go in a burning building. Well, I worked K-9 for almost 9 years, and I would go in a building with a burglar in the building, or sometimes an armed robber or something like that. You'd take your dog in there and you'd go in a building. Well, you don't know if that person has a knife or a gun or whatever, but you go in there because that's your job. Well, it's the same way with the fire department. You go in trying to put the fire out so that these people don't lose everything. You try to be as safe as you can because you want to be able to come out of that house, but you want to be able to stop the fire and save as much as you can.